Good afternoon, everybody. It's John Ross with the XPian Daily News Report. Today, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to be welcoming World Relief. And we have a special friend coming in. And so this is the report for today, the 11th. And we got a special friend coming in today to be a visit with us, Susan Sperry of World Relief, Chicagoland. And so I'm going to bring Susan up here on the screen. She's got a brick background too. Mine is sort of a fake background. You know that. You knew that. But Susan's got a real brick background. Oh, she's got a living plant back there too. Actually, it's living. It's not dead. I got dead plants. I got some plants I got to water. They're almost dead. Yeah, I do. I got some plants from my mom when she passed away. She passed away about 17 years ago, and I got some plants that they don't look so great, but I keep watering them a little bit. Anyway, that's another story. I don't want to digress here, but Susan's with World Relief Chicagoland, and that's they have a Chicago office, and they have branches in Carroll Stream and then in Wheaton. So, Susan, give us just you can give us an overview, and then we can discuss a few things. Basically, maybe the overview is how are you bearing up, and how's World Relief and during this pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, thanks so much for having me. And to your listeners and followers, thank you for tuning in. And John, I resonate with needing a green thumb. This plant behind me is often barely alive, so
Okay.
it's a challenge.
But it is alive. I want to say
it
that.
is alive. It is alive.
It is alive. Mine is it's on life support. I got one of them's on life support. But anyway, go
I
on.
hear you. Well, this last year has been something all of us could never have foreseen or envisioned or imagined at so many levels, and certainly at World Relief and the work that we do locally with immigrants and refugees, we've seen some of the worst that has come out of the pandemic from both healthcare crises and people passing away from COVID, as well as many people losing their jobs as a result of the pandemic. And what we've seen, though, at World Relief has been an opportunity to serve in ways that, again, we never could have foreseen. So this last year, uh, our partners across the Chicagoland area, church partners, volunteers, and our staff at World Relief have served over 6,800 people. And that's actually more than the previous year when we were providing in-person services. So a lot of the services we've provided have been virtual, a lot of phone calls, a lot of conversations over forums like this, Zoom, WhatsApp, and English classes being held virtually. So
Really?
yeah. So on the one hand, we're absolutely seeing a lot of pain, and on the other hand, we're seeing a lot of stories of hope and of resilience and just what it looks like when the community comes together to support each other.
Wow, that's interesting. You said you've serviced more actually than the previous year almost? Is that
Yeah,
what you said?
yeah, yeah, which is absolutely incredible.
It
And
is. It's similar to the food pantries, etc., and other
mhm, yeah,
community service things. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of need out there during this time, and they're coming to you to
mhm.
talk about those needs. And you have, as I said, you have three branches. Now, do all those branches, do they do about the same services, or some do a little different, or what services do you offer at your branches, Chicago and DuPage and Aurora?
Yeah, John, through all three of our locations, we provide a very similar services to help immigrants integrate or build a sense of belonging in the community. And we do that both through providing vital services, but also helping to build welcoming and just communities and bring people together in relationships. And very specifically, the services in our locations include case management. So when someone comes into our office, an immigrant comes to our office and is looking for either assistance with accessing a government service or wanting some connections in the community, we help them with that. When someone comes in wanting, say, for example, employment help, we'll help them connect with World Relief staff or with local agencies that can provide that. So we provide case management and connections. We provide employment services. We walk with children and youth, providing both tutoring and helping them connect with their schools and navigate so much of the changing landscape at the schools right now with remote learning and then in-person learning. And
Yeah.
which,
Go on.
yeah, as you can imagine, that's been a pretty constant changes throughout this last year. We also provide English classes in all of
Okay.
our locations that usually take place in person. Right now are taking place remotely. And then we provide immigration legal services. So immigration law is a very complex field of law. And when immigrants are trying to apply for citizenship or apply for a green card or to reunite with families, they need help navigating that process. And so our Department of Justice accredited staff and attorneys help them through those processes to get the either the reunification or the specific immigration benefits that they're pursuing. So that's in a nutshell some of the services we provide. But overall, we are seeking to connect people in community, and we have could tell story after story of how we have seen that happen this past year.
Yeah, well, it's great, and that immigration front has because of the pandemic, citizenship, et cetera, been slowed down a little. How is that? Would you say? Because some of that had to go to, you had to have a visit with people. Is that still? Is it still moving ahead, or is it a little slower, or do they do virtual? How do they do some of those immigration things?
Yeah, it's definitely slower. At different points during the pandemic, there has been a slowdown or a pause to processing of specific immigration benefits. But World Relief is still continuing to file applications with our clients and to help support them along the journey of their immigration process. And I would add that the backdrop for so much of what we do with immigration legal services is the fact that there's been a lot of policy changes. So in the
Right.
last 4 years, I think we've talked about before, there's been over 400 executive changes or executive
400.
actions.
Wow.
Yeah, over 400 to the the immigration system, immigration policy. And so that requires both a lot of education among our staff, learning about the changes as they take place, and then walking with our clients uh, to navigate uh, in the world of immigration law in light of those changes.
I remember, I don't know when this was. You probably refresh me more, but you had an open house, and your president of, I guess it'd be the president of World Relief was there, and I forgot. What's it, Arter?
Yeah, Scott Arbeiter. Yeah.
I think we got talking and about the current situation, probably what it's right now. And I basically said, if we change administrations, well, how would that do? And we can talk about that here now. But he basically said it was going to be a long haul to change. You just mentioned 400 regulations, and maybe some of those, probably majority of those are no, in my opinion, no good. So it's going to take a while to reverse these things and do a lot of these things, correct?
I believe it will. And there's right now a lot that we don't know about what policies will look like under
That's
the
true.
Biden administration.
Right. We
And
don't know
so,
yet.
yeah,
So it's really there. I understand.
right. And you and I have talked a little bit about the refugee resettlement program in the past,
Yeah,
and
that's what
that's
I was going to get off
mhm,
to. Like, what's
yeah.
what's the new thought? Was it Biden? Was it 125 or 150,000? I forgot what it was that he says he might be doing. I know
Yeah,
it's
Biden.
more than I know it's more than
Mhm.
15,000. I thought it was 125. I think some groups
Yeah.
like yours and others were advocating 100, and I think he went up. I either there was 125 or 150. I forgot what he said. Do you remember? You
Yeah,
know it?
I believe 125, and so yeah, Biden, the Biden administration has proposed a very marked increase in the number of refugees to be
Yes,
resettled
that
in
is
the
a
U.S.
big increase,
A huge
almost
increase. Oh, well
maybe
over
8
six
to 10
times.
fold, almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because everyone within the refugee resettlement community both believes that we can, as a country, welcome more refugees.
Oh, I
And
think so.
keep in mind, yeah, I think for your listeners who don't know much about refugees, refugees have fled persecution in their countries and are unable to return home because of the situation there. And so it's truly the folks that the U.S. considers for resettlement are considered based upon humanitarian and national security considerations, and there's a lot that goes into it, both from a security standpoint as well as weighing the humanitarian and national interests in resettling people. And we believe, based upon all of that, that there is absolutely reason to increase the number of refugees coming, as well as so much biblically as people of faith uh, at World Relief and local churches. We believe that we're called to welcome those who are suffering and hurting, as well as caring for our neighbors right here who are suffering and hurting. So, say all of that to say we believe that we can resettle more. It will also take time to rebuild the infrastructure to welcome people well. So over the
Yes,
last
I
four
mean, this
years,
is
we've decreased the number of refugees
I
resettled
know
quite a bit,
you've had
as you
some,
know.
what do we want to call it, trimming of your group there of World Relief because of what's happened here.
Yeah,
So would be, going back the other way, and it's going to be
it will, but
it's sort of like
we're
birth pains, but we've had a birth before, so we know what we're going through, I
right,
guess.
absolutely, and
I guess we know how to do this, I hope, but
we do. John, that's so well said that we have welcomed many people before. We know how to do it. We believe we can do it again. Uh, I think the realities of the pandemic will
oh,
play
that's
in a
that,
little more
yeah,
over the next year or two
oh, that's
as the country weighs how
well, that's
many people can successfully be resettled. But
yeah,
again, even in that
yeah.
climate, we believe we can welcome people. But John, one question I've been getting a lot, and I imagine that you have as well, is what will this look like this year? And will we really be able to welcome many more people? And just for context, this last year, World Relief in all three of our locations resettled 85, just shy of 85 people
Okay. So your
total.
Chicagoland number was 85.
Chicagoland number was 85. There were more people who arrived to the state of Illinois, but that's just resettled through World Relief. And we think it's realistic uh, over the next 9 months to potentially resettle double that number.
Right?
But beyond that is pretty tough to say. And so when we hear numbers that the Biden administration has proposed,
Right.
125,000, we'll see. We need
Well,
to be in a
yeah,
wait and see
right.
mode, and none of us think, even if he was to propose that number, we don't believe that that's realistic this year,
Uh,
that we would actually see
no,
that
it's
number come.
with the pandemic, we don't know. I mean,
Right.
that limits it right there. So, and plus all these other things to get everything going, that's another story too. They got to get going too. So, but the pandemic probably is the one of the big things holding back the full throttle here of this, I would say. Wouldn't you think that's probably the biggest obstacle, maybe the pandemic itself?
That's going to be a pretty significant obstacle, as will just the overall infrastructure of the
Oh, yeah,
resettlement
true,
program
true.
being much smaller now than it was several years ago.
That would be the same as, well, we're talking about World Relief now, but the federal government would probably be the same way. They probably have downsized those elements that would be
Right.
working.
Yeah.
So they gotta, it's gonna take a while for them to get back in that flow again, right?
I expect that it will. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's been out there for a while. And this immigration, and we got to remember that these people are vetted. Let's not get into
Mhm.
this security, I don't know, hysteria, I would call it out there. These people are vetted. They've been through a lot of suffering.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
even I've had articles on my site, XPian News, about how the Christians around the world, I mean, refugees, have not really had too much favor here in the States
Right.
that way also. So it's a total need here. And World Relief has been in there, and there's, I don't know, was there a dozen groups nationally that do this? It's not, basically, I'd say 95% of them are, or maybe 80% are religious orientated groups, Catholic charities and
Yeah. Yeah.
Catholic immigration. I forgot what they call it. Jewish groups. I mean, they're mostly all, and Lutheran and other, they're mostly all religious, basically.
Yeah, not all are religious, but the majority are faith-based who resettle refugees in the U.S. And um, yeah, you're right, John. We want to be welcoming more people. Hope that that is the case over the next several years, um, and at the same time, we want to be continuing to help immigrants in our community as they're building their lives here. And that's what World Relief believes that we are called to do at World Relief, is help immigrants build belonging and journey with them and journey with immigrant communities. And as a whole community, the more that we are all connected and building bridges across the the cultural, the ethnic, the linguistic differences between us, we build a stronger community, right? So we're eager to see and help people get connected to make that happen.
Yeah, that's a very good point there. And one, I want to ask you this briefly here. Many years ago, it's about half a dozen, probably at least, I was involved with citizenship training or classes, which I thought was really interesting. I loved that. Uh, Tell me if I can do that again somewhere. I know it's been up and down somewhat, but I love that. And how is that citizenship? Was that slowed down too? The people getting in citizenship, or how would you say on that? Is
Yeah,
that's uh-huh.
for for many reasons, there's been some some slowdowns, and yet people still can apply for citizenship and still
Right?
pursue citizenship, and we encourage that. And World Relief is helping folks with that
So you
and
do you do
tutoring. Yeah, you
you do
mentioned
those
tutoring. There's
online, you do those
opportunities for that.
virtual classes. That's what you're talking about, right?
Virtual classes, and then we also help people apply for
Oh, that
citizenship
paperwork.
virtually, all the paperwork. Yeah, we work with them on that, set appointments. Yeah, so if anyone listening is interested in that, please do reach out to us for
Yeah,
help with that.
and that paperwork's costing a little more than it did a few years ago, right? They upped the prices, didn't they? It was like
They
700 some dollars before. It's a little
they
high. Uh-huh. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah, there have been a number of changes in cost as well, and yet also in some of the confusing nature of immigration policy these days has been many different legal challenges and starts and stops with some of the
Oh,
policy
okay.
implementation.
DACA would
Yeah,
be one example of that, right?
that is a great example in which right now folks who would qualify because of their age and their circumstances for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program can apply if they haven't applied before, and that's a pretty new development because of some court decisions. And John, I know you're interested in hearing a little more about how people can connect and get involved in the coming days and months, especially in the pandemic. Uh,
Right.
so I'd love to share a couple of ideas.
Okay. Very good.
Uh, Volunteering is a huge need right now, because of the pandemic, we're very careful about in-person volunteer opportunities. And so a lot of the connections that people can have through World Relief are virtual, meeting over Zoom or meeting over the phone to tutor someone. So to tutor a high school student in help them with homework, to help a young adult who is pursuing a career. We're looking for people to help mentor them in the direction of a career path. And we're looking for people to help tutor in English. And all of these we provide training for, and all of them are done remotely. And then we'd also love folks to get involved in donating in-kind items, so basic household items. And there's always a list on our website, chicagoland.worldrelief.org. So take a look at that, and car donations as well.
Oh,
is
really?
a big need right now. Yeah, yeah.
So we don't have to do 1-800?
You can certainly, yeah. You don't have to do 1-800. You can call World Relief. We're
I
happy
won't
to
sing that
talk
song
with you.
for you. That sort of, some people would say it's obnoxious, but I haven't heard it in a while. Maybe the cars are not going as fast for them. I haven't heard that song in a while. Or else I haven't listened to the radio. I haven't been in my car as much, but the 1-800. Anyway, it's something.
Yeah.
No, that's very good about the cars. That's interesting. I know other groups take those, but you probably are using them more than reselling them. I mean, you'd resell it if it's no good, but otherwise you're helping these people who are coming that need some transportation, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We give it to folks who have a job that they need transportation to. So it's literally helping people get to work, and typically they're able to then help other people get to work through carpooling together. So it's a great way to make good use of your old car. And you're right, John, if for some reason we can't give it to someone, then we're able to sell it, and that helps fund repairs on cars that we are able to give to
Right.
immigrants and refugees.
I know you can at least get $200 for a car, at least in Chicagoland a while ago. So every car is at least worth that, because I had one car that I had to almost junk, but I saved it from the junkyard. The guy paid me $250, and I didn't go to the junkyard. I felt good about it. It had a resurrection.
That's great.
It's probably in the junkyard now, but I don't know. I had to put too much money on it to myself, but that's good. You can use the cars, and those type of things are good. You know, having a phone, those things we don't even think about sometimes, some of us, that we need for a job thing. You need transportation, and you need a way to communicate. It's basically a phone. And
but it makes all the difference. Yeah,
you got to have a phone really for all these services somewhat. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and one other suggestion I would make, in addition, you know, a lot of us want to get involved and yet are still weighing how much we can do in these days. And so I'd encourage folks to commit to ongoing learning, and sharing what you're learning with others.
Oh, hablo español. Okay.
Yes, that speaking Spanish as well. But I would add, for folks who are not immigrants, learning more about the immigrant experience, either through a book, Welcoming the Stranger, written by Jenny Yang and Matthew Sorens, that unpacks a lot about the origins of U.S. Immigration.
Okay.
Another book called The God Who Sees by Karen Gonzalez, that looks at immigration through the eyes of an immigrant, and through the eyes of the Bible. Both are biblically based books, and just great resources to learn.
Very good.
Then to be able to share and have conversations with others.
Yes, I had my tres leches cake on my birthday. My neighbors gave to me. That was something else.
Oh, delicious.
I wasn't expecting it, and then I did a little more research. Well, I think I knew about the cake a little bit. I did some research. Yeah, they had 3 milk cake. It's sort of interesting. And I know a lot of Mexican Americans have that. And yeah, we learn more about culture. We learn more to be with our neighbor. And I think that's very important to reach out to your neighbor. And then we're reaching out to the world here with World Relief. I mean, they're doing both. Yeah. They're reaching the world and our neighbors. And that's a very important thing for Christians. And especially at this time here during this pandemic, we really got to reach out. And Susan gave the website, what's it, Chicagoland.worldrelief.org. Is that correct? I think that's
That's
correct.
correct. Yeah, that's
Yes, and
correct.
we're going to have this on screen here more. And I just thank Susan for taking their time from her busy schedule and to visit here this afternoon. And just remember World Relief in your prayers and just how you can be involved. And
Yeah.
I'll have to think more how I can get involved more again. I haven't been involved as much as I should, but World Relief, I do, like I say, I like that citizenship. I'll be honest with you, Susan, that
Yeah,
social studies type of thing that appeals to me.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
my background, and you tell immigrants about our history. Of course, we don't like what happened on Wednesday. That's not good history, but we got to be honest about it too, what happened. And those type of things to teach history to
yeah,
our immigrants is very important. And
yeah. Well,
it's
we would love
part
to
of
see
their
you back,
100
John.
questions, and I guess they get 15 and they got to answer 10 or what is it? I forgot something. It's not every question they have to get right. Maybe it's 10, right? Or something like that.
Well, we would love to see you back, John, working with us on
Okay.
that. And
Well,
you mentioned prayer, and I will underscore that. Please be in prayer for our communities, be in prayer for immigrant neighbors. Certainly, we're all praying for an end to the pandemic. We're praying for many people, especially as we see unrest and so much division at a national level that that affects all of us. That especially affects so many people who are new to the country, um, many people who have fled similar unrest
right.
in their
It's like,
countries.
oh, wow. A very,
So
very true
let's
statement. Yeah.
both be in prayer and be supporting one another.
Yes. Well, I have to remember world relief in our prayers and just thinking. And
Thank you.
on Wednesday, we're going to try to do something here a little different. I'm calling it Look at Aurora time. Hopefully we're going to have candidates for the mayor. I got one lined up. There's 3 candidates in Aurora. We'll see on Wednesday how that works out. And we got some other guests we're thinking about for later in the week. So let's hope those come together. But I just thank Susan for being with us. And I'm going to have at
Thank
the
you, John.
bottom of the screen about the VNA. Remember the VNA for COVID-19 testing. That's 630-892-4355. Just get that testing. We got to keep ourselves in good shape here. And it's not, hopefully we're turning a corner here soon, but it's not yet. And
So
so, Susan, I just want to again thank you for being with us today. And I want to have, Susan mentioned prayer. I'll just give a short prayer here. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for Susan and World Relief. Just bless this organization and keep them in your hand, Lord, and help our country as we talked about the many things that are out there, and bring peace to our land. And may we be, as Christians who are Christians, may we be a salt and light to this world. We thank you now in Jesus' name. Amen. I don't know. It's part of my thing here. I should do more of that, be honest with you. Uh, but I thank Susan again for being with us. And till we meet again, I'm going to say God bless and bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.
thank you, John.
Let's see. I got to get up here and there.